Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well, and I just sort of want to talk to you guys and hope you're all doing well. So, what I want to do is start off with let's call it my mission statement. Why I do what I do, and what I'm hoping to accomplish by talking to you guys about all this. So, my mission statement is pretty simple. I grew up and still live with and fight off on a daily basis crippling anxiety and depression. And it's been extremely hard for me to work with that because of the fact that I didn't even notice the visitor pass. My bad, guys. I didn't even notice until I really got to be an adult that the things I was going through, how bad they really were. And what I mean is, like, I just sort of assumed, like, that they were just normal, right? I never been educated about it, was never really told by doctors or by anybody what was going on. I just sort of knew something was wrong. And I'll even give you an example, right? Like, I remember when I was given an inhaler that nobody told me about the proper way to use inhalers. Everybody just sort of assumed that I knew what to do. And that was like so wild to me that I, I was just assumed. But what I really sort of realized was that this wasn't a uncommon event. That there's this sort of principle of common sense that is ever prevailing to the modern world, and that we just sort of assume that people know different things. And the things that are common sense throughout history are constantly changing. Um, it was just common sense that women weren't allowed to vote for one point. And then it was also, for example, common sense that slavery was okay in certain parts of the world. It's fucked up. Now, am I saying that's right? No. But that's like a prime example of how sometimes common sense isn't really common sense. Common sense, the idea of it, it changes all the time. I've even seen in psychiatry where the lobotomy was at one point looked upon with a lot less disdain than it is now. Rightfully so, the lobotomy is a barbaric act. Slavery is a barbaric act. Not allowing women the right to vote is a barbaric act. And yet, these all things at one point or another were seen as, if not favorably, at least neutrally by a decent percentage of the population. And so, with those examples, I beg you to think critically about stuff and the way you're operating in life before you start to assume that this is normal, right? Even with your thought patterns or with the thought patterns of other people, one thing you can really do that I find is super helpful is just stop and sort of have a curious mind, right? And just sort of ask yourself open ended questions like, why is this the way it is? Is there anything I can do to improve it? Even if this is common, is it a good thing, right? So, for example, my common sense thing in my household was just that families fight, right? That's what I was taught. Couples fight, families fight. But really, what it looked like was that we were like violently screaming at each other on a regular basis. And I wasn't innocent either. I was a product of my environment, and I was quite the bastard child, just being honest. And because of that, that's how I formed my understanding about not only my family, but the world at large. And by not questioning that common sense that I was taught, then unfortunately, I would have never grown to be the person that I am now and the person I'm hoping to become as I grow older and hopefully grow with more experience and maturity. So that's why I invite you seriously to think about what's going on in your life and what it is that you believe. And if you can look for information that might make you maybe not change your mind, but explore other possibilities as well. I even saw this in my own religion, where I started looking at other possibilities of what could be or could not be. And honestly, despite all the evidence, I still chose to be a religious person. I still chose to believe in what I believe in. And that's okay too. Because sometimes, if not most of the times, what you'll find is that even when you listen to the other side, it might even just reaffirm your beliefs or your opinions or your moral system even more so. But at least it gives you an understanding of where other people are coming from. which in turn can make it about more than just you. You can actually have a conversation with other people and it be more than just you presenting information that you already know, and then you guys have a back and forth where nobody's really getting anywhere. I always try to assume that whenever I'm talking to somebody, they have a story, and that story can teach me something about them, myself, and the world at large. And by keeping those three things in mind, it really helps me change the way that I am viewing it and my perspective. This mission statement that I mentioned previously is just that. It's to engage with the world and with other people in as loving a way as I possibly can. Because when you turn on social media, what you're going to find a lot of is hatefulness in Facebook comments. And if you go to the videos on Facebook, it's a lot of emotionally charged content. And then if you go to YouTube comment sections, you'll see a lot of people arguing there too. If you've ever played League of Legends, you know exactly the way that an average League player can be. It's not hard to find hatred in the modern era. If you turn on the news, you're going to see it very evidently of what's going on. So that's why I think more than ever, it's kind of like an art form to being positive, right? I try to keep that in mind at all times, that I can't control the outside world, but what I can control is what I do today. And I can either add to the negativity or I can add to the positivity. And so I make a conscious effort to do something small. They call this the everyday hero. And the idea of the everyday hero is just that. You do little things that will influence other people to do little things for other people. And as this goes, it'll cause a ripple effect, and then it will grow in its size and grow and grow and grow until these little things cause a snowballing effect that add up to something pretty significant. I'll tell you one little story before I let you go, which is when I was walking back in the rain, it was pouring down, and I had no ride home. And it was terrible, and I just came from work, and I was making $10 an hour. Yeah, $10 an hour. Nothing. To be honest, it was chump change. And I was already struggling pretty freaking hard. And a random lady picks me up. I still remember what she looks like, and she was sweet as snow. Ask me what I'm doing walking in the rain with no umbrella. I just told her the truth. I didn't have one. I had to walk home. There was no other option. So she took me home, which was really cool of her, and I had greatly appreciated that. I can't say it any other way. And the thing was, she handed me $100, and she didn't have to. And I'm talking, this was like probably at least 5 years ago, if not more, maybe even 8 years ago. It was a while, let me just say that. And it had such a huge impact on me because it sort of reminded me that even in my worst moments, that there were still people out there who were kind and wanted to see me succeed. She had nothing to gain from that. She was never going to meet me again, and we never did meet again. I don't know what she's doing or where she's at. But what I do know is that that day she chose to spread kindness. And because she chose to spread kindness, it gave me the opportunity to spread kindness to other people. And so I'm choosing to do that online. I invite you all to seriously think about, what is your mission statement? What do you want to leave behind? What's going to be your legacy? Hope y'all doing well, guys. Thanks for listening.